The story of the cell phone, how a small device changed the world. To understand the history of the cell phone, we must first understand a simple human desire, the desire to connect. Long before cell phones, humans shouted across distances, sent messengers on horseback, wrote letters by candlelight, and waited weeks or months for replies. Every new invention in communication was driven by one hope: to make distance disappear. The cell phone is the most powerful answer humanity has ever given to that hope. Before the cell phone, voices tied to places. Before cell phones, communication was rooted to locations. Telephones were fixed to walls. If you weren't home, you weren't reachable. In the early 1900s, the telephone was already revolutionary, allowing voices to travel across wires, but it came with limits. Wires had to be built. Calls required infrastructure. Mobility did not exist. The question engineers began asking was simple but bold. What if communication could move with the person? The first breakthrough: mobile but not personal. The earliest forms of mobile communication appeared in the mid-20th century. Radios allowed police, military, and emergency services to communicate wirelessly. These systems worked, but they were bulky, expensive, and limited. Only a few users could speak at a time, and signals easily interfered with one another. The technology was mobile, but not personal. The real breakthrough came with the idea of dividing land into cells. Each cell would have its own radio tower, allowing many users to share frequencies efficiently. As people moved, calls would hand off from one cell to another. This idea became the foundation of cellular communication. The first cell phone call in 1973, engineer Martin Cooper made the first public cell phone call using a prototype device that weighed over 2 pounds. It was bulky, expensive, and had a battery life of about 20 minutes, but it worked. For the first time in history, a person could carry their voice freely. It would take another decade before cell phones became commercially available, but the future had officially arrived. The early cell phones, status symbols of power. The first consumer cell phones of the 1980s were large, heavy, and extremely expensive. They were often carried in briefcases or mounted in cars. These phones were used mostly by business leaders, emergency workers, and governments. Calls were expensive, coverage was limited, and phones did one thing only: make calls. Yet even then, they represented something powerful. They represented freedom from place. Digital networks. Phones become smarter. In the 1990s, cell phone technology shifted from analog to digital networks. This change dramatically improved call quality, security, and capacity. Phones became smaller, lighter, and more affordable. Suddenly, everyday people could own them. Then something unexpected happened. Cell phones learned how to send text messages. At first, texting seemed trivial. Short messages, limited characters, but it changed communication forever. People could now send quiet, instant messages without speaking. Language adapted. Culture shifted. Communication became faster and more constant. The rise of the smartphone, a computer in your hand. The true transformation came in the early 2000s when phones stopped being just phones. They gained color screens, internet access, cameras, music players, email. Then came the smartphone revolution. When touchscreen devices entered the world, phones became pocket computers. Apps replaced buttons. Software became as important as hardware. The phone was no longer just a communication tool. It became a map, a camera, a wallet, a library, a studio, a workplace, a social space. Today, a modern smartphone contains more computing power than the machines that guided astronauts to the moon. How cell phones actually work, simply explained. At their core, cell phones are radios and computers combined. They communicate with nearby cell towers using radio waves. Towers connect calls and data through networks, often traveling through fiber optic cables and satellites. Inside the phone are a processor, the brain, memory and storage, sensors, camera, microphone, GPS, accelerometer, antennas for communication, software that translates human actions into digital instructions. Every tap, swipe, photo, and message becomes data, encoded, transmitted, processed, and returned in fractions of a second. It is invisible complexity, made simple for the user. The social impact of changed humanity. Cell phones have reshaped society in profound ways. They have connected families across continents, given voices to the unheard, enabled instant access to knowledge, transformed business and education, changed how we form relationships, altered attention, memory, and time perception. For the first time in history, billions of people carry the world's information in their pockets. This power brings opportunity and responsibility. The challenges. Balance in a connected world. As cell phones grew more powerful, new challenges emerged. Constant connection can lead to distraction. Social media can amplify comparison. Privacy became fragile. Silence became rare. The cell phone is not good or bad. It is a mirror. It reflects how we choose to use it. Technology shapes us, but we also shape technology. The future of the cell phone. The future of cell phones is already unfolding. Phones are becoming more integrated with artificial intelligence, more aware of context and intent, more connected to wearable devices, less visible but more present. We may move toward augmented reality replacing screens, voice and gesture replacing touch, devices blending seamlessly into daily life, phones becoming assistants rather than tools. One day, the cell phone may no longer look like a phone at all, but its purpose will remain the same. A final reflection. The history of the cell phone is not just a story of technology. It is the story of humanity's longing to connect, to understand, to be present, no matter the distance. From bulky bricks to invisible intelligence, the cell phone represents our journey toward closeness in a vast world. The future will not be defined by how advanced our phones become, but by how wisely we use them. Because in the end, the most powerful connection is not signal strength, it is human intention.